Oh, do I feel good today? Let me check my notes. Oh, indeed, it is Thursday, November 30th, the final day in the month of November, and we have arrived. Week 13 starts tonight in the National Football League. If you're brand new, welcome. We want everybody. Tell all your friends this is the Early Edge, your sports betting brand of record. We are powered, as always, by the almighty SportsLine, the best value in all sports betting, and it is not close. I am the coach, and all of the odds on the Early Edge are provided by our incredible partners, the king of all sports books at BetMGM. Now, we have so many things on the schedule today, but do not forget tonight, primetime Early Edge, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. It's the Seahawks. Can they stay alive in the playoff hunt? And the Dallas Cowboys flying high, scoring tons of points. They'll be at home tonight. Kickoff show, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. Me, the entire crew, Coach Phil, everybody. So with all that being said, let's bring in the stars of the show. You know them. You love them. And here on a Thursday when there's golf, there's soccer, there's MMA, we've got everything. And I have my absolute very best. The counselor is here. Buckets is here. And Danny Brasco, must be some fighting going on, is here. So, Buckets, I know you're all happy with yourself. Got a little no-fly zone coming up today. Got your own segment. But if you don't mind, if you could just interact with the chat for a couple of minutes, I would appreciate that. And then Sia and Danny, we got a little business to attend to. All right? By the way, don't forget, hit that like button for me. It really helps the show grow. I tell you that all the time. All right, gentlemen, let's get started. Tonight, Seahawks and the Cowboys in Big D. According to BetMGM, it's still sitting at 9.5. Hasn't gone up to 10 yet. The total 47.5. Counselor, let's start with you. Are we fading or are we following the Cowboys as a favorite tonight?
This is a tough one because it's a pretty big line. One thing I do want to point out is these Thursday night games, they typically are on short rest. I do want to point out that both of these teams played last Thursday, so they both had a full week of rest and presumably a full week of game planning. I think the Cowboys are much better than Seattle, and it's not just because of recent form. It's because I thought Seattle was overrated coming into this season, and I think they're about where I thought they were going to be. I don't know that I'm playing this at -9.5, but my lean is definitely to the Cowboys -9.5. And by the way, I think Seattle's going to have a hard time scoring. I kind of like the under here, 47.5.
See, I was actually going to say I like the over only because Dallas has scored north of, I think, 34 5 of the last 6 weeks. So all we would need would be 14. I don't know. I've been waffling on that just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Coach, one quick thing. One thing I also want to point out, we'll talk about this a lot on Early Edge Primetime tonight at 7:30, but I will say this, in terms of the Cowboys scoring, I think they're going to score tonight too. But if you look at their last 6 games, they've literally only had one difficult opponent. You look at Seattle, they've had some, their schedule's kind of been a mixed bag of difficult opponents and easy opponents. So in terms of the Cowboys specifically and their scoring, we do have to look at the sample size over the last 5 and 6 weeks and see who they've played. Now, Seattle isn't an amazing defense, but they're certainly better than some of the teams the Cowboys have played recently, namely Washington on Thursday.
Hashtag educate and entertain. That's Sia, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, the Seahawks lost by 18 last week to the 49ers. All right, thank you, Sia, very much. Stand by. All right, Danny Brasco, let me come over to you. Are you fading or following our Dallas Cowboys as a favorite?
I think if I was going to play a side coach, I would go towards the big spread of the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott is a very profitable quarterback when a favorite of more than 6 points. But my favorite bet in this one is what Sia said. It's the under. At this point, we have to blindly bet primetime unders. They're 29-9 in night primetime game unders, standalone primetime under or standalone games, 31-13 to the under this season. It just keeps happening. The public just keeps betting overs, and every time I start to overthink it, like the market's going to overcorrect and set the number really low, or the Cowboys can score on defense stylistically, it doesn't matter. Just bet the under. Right now, Seattle's offensive line is seriously, seriously hurt. They had a tough time against the Niners. Jason Peters, the 41-year-old, even got trotted out there. He gave up like 3 pressures on 10 plays that he played for. So I think Gino's going to be under duress all night. That could help this game go well under 47.5, which seems like a mountain climbing up to that number in this NFL.
I know. Our girl Rebecca says primetime unders continue to smash. Usually hit the big underdogs with low unders, but just can't do it. I'm telling you right now, Rebecca's going to be on the show one of these days because she shows us on the daily how smart she is. By the way, you know why I love this show so much? And Sia, you do a great job at Sia. Tell me your brand when you do the interviews. Sia on Sports, right? That's incorrect.
Oh, Sia Nejad Sports.
Sia Nejad Sports.
Yeah.
We kid all the time. We have fun all the time, but this is part of the reason why we have such a great community. Aaron in the chat says, I just lost a friend that battled cancer. We both got sick at the same time. Heartbroken. Coach, I watch every day, and this show helps me so much. It's important, guys. I tell you all the time, it's not just about picks. It's not just about the spreads and the numbers. Everybody always says, I'm not about that. I'm about the community, doing it together. This is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. All right. Speaking of laughing, buckets. Unbelievably, you have been hitting these picks at a ridiculous rate. So today, as we have G. Smith and D. Prescott, who is entering the no-fly zone, no bueno.
Well, Coach, I'm going to help everybody out here right away and say that I will not do this part in French. I've learned my lesson. That was a one-time thing, and it will not happen again. But I don't see how we look at this matchup and we don't back G. Smith, a.k.a. Geno Smith, as his friends call him. He has 8 interceptions already this season, but he has a projected 12 interceptions, which means he's lucky to not be averaging more than 1 per game, not match here, Coach. So I know that this is minus 155, but it's like I always tell everybody, the juice, Coach,
is worth the squeeze?
You're damn right it is, Coach. We're going with Geno Smith at minus 155 to the no-fly zone. And I'm sorry in advance to my Seahawk fans, you don't stand a chance against the Cowboys tonight.
Wait a sec. Did you just take my gimmick and use it on me?
I might have.
What do you mean you might have? And they're all over going, yeah, that was fantastic. That was fantastic. Can we please name this segment the Buck? Bradley, I love you, but that's a horrible idea. That is a horrible idea.
Coach, it's brilliant, and I think we found a new host.
Me?
No offense.
None taken, 1B. None taken. Now, you guys ask me all the time, where do I place these bets? Well, I got a place for you, and so many of you have already arrived, but we still have a little bit more work to do. New BetMGM customers can sign up today and get $200 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10, and you will receive $200 instantly in bonus bets, regardless of your wager's outcome, with bonus code EDGE200. So I got a call yesterday from the bosses. They said, Coach, we need to spice things up just a little bit. And I said, really? What'd you have in mind? They said, well, EC just gave us a call. I said, first and foremost, why are you taking a call from EC? They said, hey, it was a good idea. I said, what was it? They said, how about giving the guys a choice of a same-game parlay provided by BetMGM and see which one they would like. And then we could tail and see which one wins. So here's what we came up with. And I know this is a lot of words and numbers, Buckets. It's a lot. You don't have to play. Okay, this is for my guys. So here are the 3 different choices. Cowboys, minus 2.5, 39.5 over. Anytime touchdown from our guy, CeeDee Lamb. Tony Pollard to go north of 60. CeeDee Lamb to go north of 90. It's a little bit higher, plus 280, and at least a touchdown by each. And then this one. The Cowboys lay the 5.5. 2+ touchdown by Dak Prescott. That one could be dicey. DK Metcalf to go north of 60, and CeeDee Lamb north of 100. So 3 different prices. Sia Nejad, where are we going?
So my favorite one here is the plus 150. The Cowboys minus 2.5, the over 39.5, and the anytime touchdown CeeDee Lamb. I will say this though, Coach. Okay. The reason I love this segment so much is because, like, and maybe this isn't the acceptable way to do this, but I think it's really easy to swap out the anytime touchdown CeeDee Lamb and put in, let's say, Tony Pollard. What it's going to change is instead of plus 150, you're probably looking at like plus 135. And for the record, if you agree with Danny Brasco and I that maybe the under comes in, that over 39.5, I like that. But it was teased 8 points, right? So you could tease that up and get the same price to 57.5, or 55.5. So I'm just saying I like the plus 150 play, but you could take the Cowboys minus 2.5. You could take the under of 55.5, and instead of anytime touchdown CeeDee Lamb, you could play Tony Pollard. You're probably getting plus 135 there. I like them both.
Let me ask you all one very simple question. Do you want to do that work? I didn't think so. There are levels to this game, ladies and gentlemen, and he is at the very top. So don't even fret about it. Don't even fret about it. All right, Danny Brasco, We just been swapping things in and out. People in the chat are absolutely loving it. By the way, if you haven't weighed in yet, which one would you like? Just put it into the chat. Just type what everybody else is doing. Plus 150, plus 280, plus 600. Danny Brasco, where are you headed?
I love the way Sia is thinking about it. It's actually, when I saw these just now, the exact same way I thought about it. I looked at Cowboys minus 2.5 and that over, and I thought to myself, it kind of looks like a 7-point teaser. It's 8 points, really, but typically you get minus 140 for a 7-point teaser. So you parlay CeeDee Lamb anytime TD, which is minus 145. I don't love anytime TD lines that are juiced like that. I usually want plus money on anytime TD. So, and like Sia said, if you're going to tease or move the alternate total down, I'd rather go towards the underside with these primetime games than the overside if it is a stalemate. I like the plus 600 if any of them. Let's spice it up, right? CeeDee Lamb's having a historic season for a Cowboys receiver. And if, this all can be in the same game script. If the Cowboys are playing with the lead, then why can't DK Metcalf rack up 60, receiving yards maybe in garbage time? So give me a Cowboys blowout game script for a plus 600 parlay.
We've seen a lot of those hidden yards either in the last 2 minutes, Danny, or when the Cowboys are blowing somebody out, they play the two deep and just allow all those yards underneath. Go ahead.
I want to make a point to everyone here. I am done betting the under on passing yard props. I will only bet overs on passing yard props from now on. Okay. For that fact, Coach, there's too much variance in negative game scripts, right? I bet on Sam Howell under pass yards the other day because he's been going, against the Cowboys. He's been going off 300 plus yards in all these games, but he scored 10 points in that Thanksgiving game and he still went over his pass yards total. I thought the market would be inflated. Doesn't matter. Negative game scripts, you can still go well over that number. So only overs for me in the spots I like.
Boom. Counselor, go.
Well, I just want to point out that somebody put on SportsLine Sam Howell over pass attempts 38.5, and that hit. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah.
So many different ways to play the same game. I'm a glutton for punishment. AB, can you throw that back up there, please?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Buckets. Just curious. If you were to play, where would you go?
I have a quick question, and I don't know if this is for you, Coach, or for AB. Is that minus 25 Cowboys or minus 2.5 Cowboys in that first parlay? Because 25 seems like a lot. So I just want to clarify. I'm gonna
plus 150. Yeah, that would be a lot. That would be a lot. So yes, it's 2.5 for the sake of this experiment.
Okay, perfect. That makes more sense to me then. I'm actually going to go with the plus 280 because one TD each team is basically the same as BTTS. And anytime I can work my soccer plays into my football plays, I got to go with that.
That was actually a very well thought out explanation. Shockingly. All right. Now, you guys know you can get all my cappers in all their respective sports. Where? Will you two stop it, please? Like you're like the new frickin' frack over there. Now, where do you get all this great information? Well, it's SportsLine, of course, but I'm going to do you a solid right here, right now. 60% off the quarterly plan. That's 3 months. Use that promo code, Coach. Just use my name. There it is right there, the QR code. Or you can go to sportsline.com/join, and you can be a part of everything we do and get all of these picks at least an hour before the show. And if you don't think that's important, then you just don't know this business. Half a points and full points mean everything. Now, we've gone through the really fun portion of the program. Let's get serious now for a second. It's time for our board. So where do we start? Because we've got MMA today. Don't want to start there. We've got a little golf that starts very soon. But no, we're not going to start there. I love Europa League soccer. And Europa League soccer, you can watch every game. Where, Buckets?
Paramount Plus, Coach.
You're damn right. Paramount Plus. And today is one of those days. So, Buckets, start us off.
Coach, you know I'm all about the Europa League, and today we have some of my favorite teams on the planet playing. And we're going to start with Nordic side, Molde FK hosting Azerbaijani side, Karabag. And if you all know these clubs, like I know all of you do, then you know that only one thing matters when you see Molde or you see Karabag, and that is home field advantage. These are two clubs that play tremendously different when they're playing at home in front of their fans, as opposed to playing on the road. These are teams that are amazing at home and absolutely terrible on the road. I'm going with Molde FK over 1.5 team total at minus 120 because they have home field advantage. The international break also worked wonders for this Nordic side, and they have looked incredible since coming back. This is a game that could see 4 or 5 goals, but at least 2 of those should be coming from Molde. Then we go to Moldova, which is in fact a real country, as Sheriff Tiraspol will host Czech side Slavia Praha. Slavia just beat Roma in match day 4, which was incredible and should have all the momentum in the world moving forward, as if they win this match this afternoon, they will finish top 2 in this group no matter what here. They're taking on a Sheriff side that was amazing 2 or 3 years ago and is absolutely terrible now. Sheriff has the most goals conceded, the least goals scored, while Slavia has the most goals scored and the least goals conceded. Also, when they played in the reverse fixture a couple months ago, Slavia Praha beat Sheriff 6-0, 6 goals to 0. And right now, you can get Slavia money line at -130. That is a ridiculous soft line for how bad Sheriff is, specifically at home this season. I see nothing but a 2-0 party at the pay window this afternoon, Coach.
Wow. I should have saved my "do you want to do the work?" That was unbelievable information. By the way, the chat thinks we got faked out. You thought we were doing Synergy and I was doing the Paramount Plus. So you had your hands all.
I was doing this.
Yeah,
I was getting ready to say day baseball, Coach. It was going to be real messy.
That would have been really, really, really messy. It would have been. By the way, shout out to Eric David. He says, Coach, there's an SGP insurance promo on BetMGM. Perfect to use with one of those bets tonight. Wow. That's why we do it together. That's really, really cool. All right. Now, Danny Brasco, it's a Thursday. We need sometimes bets to marinate for perhaps 48 hours instead of today. And I'm all fired up because as we head into December and the first of the year, combat sports are taking off. But this week, let's focus. What do you got?
We're heading to UFC Austin for this week, Coach. And we've got 3 picks for you on this card. Let's kick it off with the main event. I think the line is out of whack once again for Beneil Dariush versus Arman Tsarukyan. I'm going with the dog, Beneil Dariush. Do we remember what happened when they made him a plus 240 dog just like this against Mateusz Gamrot? He waxed him. I mean, I feel like this is a similar stylistic fight against Tsarukyan, who's a fantastic grappler, vicious ground and pound. But I feel Dariush has a significant advantage in the striking department. I think when it's on the feet, he can kickbox him up. And if Tsarukyan can't land those takedowns, he's going to be in trouble. If he does, Dariush has some of the most creative Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu sweeps and reversals you've ever seen. I trust the guy as a plus 250 dog. I'm going to make it a half unit bet, so half your normal bet size. But I think the line is off. We forget that he was just a favorite against Charles Oliveira, the guy with the most finishes in UFC history. And he lost, but he was a favorite for a reason. I think this is an overreaction. I'm jumping back on the dog here. Well, if I'm on this dog, then let me give you my UFC dog of the week. And that's Kelvin Gastelum here at plus 110 odds. I think Gastelum should be the favorite as well. Gastelum's moving down to welterweight for this fight, and he looks physically strong for a welterweight. The weight cut looked really good. Really good. I think he's going to give his opponent, Sean Brady, some trouble. Brady's a pure grappler. If he can't get this fight to the floor and suffocate Gastelum with his wrestling, I think he's going to look uncomfortable in the stand-up. Gastelum's a tricky southpaw boxer, really stiff jab, good in-and-out footwork. And if it's on the feet, Brady's going to look in a world, all out of sorts in a world of trouble, I think. So I might even predict a knockout for Kelvin Gastelum if he can stay on his feet here. And finally, the theme here is kind of fading pure grapplers. I'm going to go with Drakkar Klose to beat Joe Selecki here. Selecki, very skilled grappler, very sticky. If he gets on your back, he's probably not getting off. But I think he's never seen a boxer and a striker quite like Klose. Klose, once again, sprawl and brawl is the theme here. Stay on your feet, box him up, and get the win. I think Klose will be able to do that. If it comes down to a close decision, Selecki will probably be wearing more damage on his face, and I think the judges give the nod to Klose for that reason. So give me Drakkar Klose in that one. There's 3 UFC Austin picks for you guys.
I tell people all the time, we are changing lives here at the Early Edge, and Danny Brasco is one of those people. Big Cheesy says when he gives a take, he does push-ups. And Rick says, you do push-ups while he's giving a take? He says, and sit-ups. Boom.
Let's go. Let's
Changing lives. Big Cheesy. Put that in your head right now. Doing push-ups and sit-ups as he screams, light the beam! Light the beam! I can see it right now. That was funny, Buckets. You're allowed to laugh. It's okay. What are you looking at? Is there something in the ceiling all the time?
Do I look up a lot?
Yes. Yes, you do.
My camera's like right here, so I have to kind of gauge it a little bit.
You're just praying that this stupid streak of yours continues. That's what I think you're doing. All right. You guys know we love to brand everything here. And as we continue to build and have more, everybody has their own spot, their own thing. But there is nobody that brings it like my man, the counselor. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for the closing argument. You're up.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sia Nejad on behalf of the Early Edge. May it please the court, I'm going to golf, and I do need to inform the chat. The play I have today, it's a little juicy, but more importantly, it starts in 25 minutes, literally 25 minutes. Speaking of 25, the chat is all over the Cowboys as an alternate spread minus 25 because of the buckets question, which is amazing. Speaking of synergy, yes, it's true. This pick, it wasn't a setup. It's literally 25 minutes from now. So you can bet that alt spread if you want. But if you want to bet Brian Harmon minus 140 over Lucas Glover, you got to do it at 1046 or less. Speaking of less, I think Lucas Glover, he had a really good start to the season last season, and he's actually been pretty good overall. But I trust Brian Harmon at this course a little bit more than Lucas Glover. Now, I'll say this. Brian Harmon hasn't played much lately. Lucas Glover has played in some of these fall swing tournaments, but he hasn't been very good. And what I think is regressing the most from Lucas Glover, typically a good ball striker, is the short game. And I think you're really going to need that short game around the green and the putter at the Hero World Challenge. So I trust Brian Harmon there. When it comes to ball striking and off the tee, they're pretty much the same, have the same distance. Lucas Glover might be a slightly better ball striker, but I'm going to take Brian Harmon here because of the total package, because of the total game. I think Lucas Glover can be okay in this tournament. I just think Brian Harmon's going to be better. So even though it's a little juicy, this round one matchup, I like Brian Harmon over Lucas Glover. And by the way, you might have seen what Coach and I tweeted out yesterday and put on Instagram, probably on TikTok too. We have some outrights that you can still play. Coach, as everybody probably knows, has Max Homa. I have Cameron Young to win this whole thing.
We're going to be all over golf. Early Wedge returns the first week of January. Can't wait for that. Bradley says he got Harmon at DK at minus 140, so the number is right there, spot on with what Sia just said. Real quick, buckets, Fenerbahce, Nordjylland. I always butcher that. Your thoughts on that game?
That's a tough game just because both teams are really tough to pronounce here. Be very careful. Fenerbahce and their Europa games or Europa Conference games have not been starting their best strikers. So we did see them lose their last match day because of that. They might not start them again because this technically isn't a match they have to win. That game could very easily be a draw. So be careful.
Okay. Be very careful. Counselor, go.
Well, we've got a question in the chat about a matchup. So most of the matchups are universal because we have such a limited field, but it looks like somebody has Brian Harmon over Jason Day. I don't know. You always want to put the juice in there because I can't answer the question without knowing the juice.
Correct.
But if that is minus 140 or shorter, I really like that one. In fact, I like that one better than the one I gave out. It's just the Brian Harmon over Jason Day one isn't as prevalent as the one that I gave out. So I wanted to make sure we had the most access to my pick as possible.
Between golf and between soccer, you got to MMA too. You got to really know what you're doing, and you got to know about juice and playing, and that's why you come here for all of that. You look like you need to say something before I go to the recap there, Danny. What do you got, big boy?
I wanted to hook up the chat as well. Question about Zachary Reese as a parlay piece. He's one of the hometown Texas fighters. I love him to get a setup when here. He's facing Cody Brundage. Cody Brundage is on auto fade for me. So Zach Reese, parlay piece, solid for me.
So did you guys notice how each one of my guys just answered a question for you from the chat? Do you think that was by chance? Or do you think maybe when we start our new live show, perhaps there'll be a spot for all of you? Maybe we'll have an Ask the Expert segment every single day. You never know. But if you participate, then you will know. That's deep. Grab your paper. Grab your pencil. You're too much, man. Courtesy of my man AB on the ones and the twos, the counselor. This one starts literally in 21 minutes. Do not get shut out. There's only like 18 golfers, I think. The numbers are all going to be skewed. Understand that. It's a very, very limited field. So head-to-head's probably the best way to go. Danny Brasco, 3 plays from UFC this Saturday. Benio Dariush, plus 250. Gastelum, he started to look better in his last couple of fights. Kind of took a dip, now coming back up, plus 110, and then close at minus 125. Then Europa League today, all over Paramount Plus. Moldy FK, team total over 1.5, minus 120. And then Slavia Prague, money line, minus 130. All those numbers according to BetMGM. And one final reminder, do not forget tonight, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, me and the crew will be here to start week 13 in the National Football League, the Seahawks and the Cowboys. Who will take a step forward? Who will get into the club? Who will be the next Mackenzie Brooks and do it in their first try? She's a legend for that. Coach Phil is still blowing my phone up because of that. It matters. It matters. So, all the damage we can do. Be kind to one another. Go out and pay it forward. If you want to do push-ups, sit-ups in the workplace, hey, tell them the coach told you it was okay. The bosses love me. And remember this, there's only one thing left to do. And I believe you all know what that is. You've got your marching orders. Let's take all of these tickets straight to the pay window. For my entire crew, Lobo, Counselor, Buckets, Danny Brasco. And never forget about AB, always behind the scenes on the ones and the twos, doing all the hard work. I am simply the coach, trying to keep this train on said track. We grind for you so we can win with you. It's truly what we're all about. Right here at the Early Edge. Good luck.